A few strolling moments is all I've got to share. You've got your family and they need you there. Though I try to resist being last on your list, but no other man's gonna do. So I'm saving all my love for you.
She's one of millions of teenage mothers in the U.S. She's one of millions who live without the child's father. She's one of those who has to rely on welfare to survive. She's a child who is going to take care of a child. Her name is Barbara, and she's 16 years old. She's been home from school for 2 weeks to take care of her newborn child, but tomorrow she's going back. Barbara's baby is named Rodney after his father, Rodney Jr., or RJ as she calls him. Like babies of many other teenage mothers, he was born too early, doesn't weigh enough, and is very sensitive to infections.
I wouldn't breastfeed him because I have to go to school and stuff, and I have to be away, so I couldn't really.
When you found out that you were pregnant, what did you think then?
I thought about my education, mostly. What was I gonna do? I really wanted to go to a night school because I was gonna be ashamed of being big and stuff. But my mother told me just to go to school and she said I'm gonna still have to go to school and get my education and we'll work something out. So I went on, but at first I was kind of depressed. I didn't want it. Mostly I was sick always. Then when I found out the reason why I was sick, that made me feel even worse.
I'll be right back. Just don't y'all go nowhere. I'll be right back.
Hi. Hi, how you doing?
Hi. Hey, Barbara.
I see you brought your baby home. Let me have him.
When did you come home?
Thursday.
Oh, I told you I was going to come by and see it now.
Can we take him over my house?
Yep.
I can have him.
Gosh,
56% of black teenage mothers are single. People in the church that Barbara belongs to are trying to help some of these girls and their children.
Eureka got 2 bags just like these.
We asked one of them why there are so many teenage pregnancies today.
A lack of instructions, that is from the parent, and back again to the same word, a lack of self-esteem, a lack of self-worth, a lack of being loved. Then another reason I feel that it is popular, the money that the monthly recipient from the state aid that they receive, I believe, encourages it and promotes it and perpetuates it to a degree. Because if they get a baby, then they get a stipend, a monthly stipend, and that's, more money than they've had themselves. So I think that's an encouragement.
Do blacks, or Afro-Americans, which many want to be called, have lower self-confidence than others?
Well, yes. In 1983, I spent a month in Africa, in East Africa, Malawi, in fact. And I was really gratified that as I moved about in the southern part of the country to the northern part of the country, from Blantyre up to Mazuzu, the kind of disposition and self-esteem, for want of a better term, that was evident among those Africans. And it was not because they were black or white. They knew who they were. They were not striving to become. They had always been. They had not been exposed to the second-class stipulations and accommodations that I had been exposed to. They felt good about themselves with a kind of feeling that I have never felt, because I've never been totally, completely free.
No, the knowledge that blacks were once slaves doesn't go away. It's like an open sore in the souls of many black people. From the 16th century until well into the 19th century, several million Africans were brought to America as slaves. Chained to each other and packed like sardines, they were taken across the Atlantic. Most slaves worked on the cotton plantations in the South. Slaves were sold at auctions, families were split up, and the sadness and hatred grew. Many tried to escape, but the whites had the law on their side. Many people in the northern states didn't like slavery, but for the whites in the South, the slaves were important economically. That's why they wanted to keep slavery and leave the American Union. This led to a civil war between 1861 and 1865. The northern states won, led by Abraham Lincoln, and slavery was abolished. But there were problems for the 3 million freed slaves. During slavery, at least they had food and a place to live. When freedom came, they had nothing. And many whites couldn't see blacks as their equals. Shortly after the Civil War, an organization of white Protestants called the Ku Klux Klan was formed. They felt that the white race was superior to other races. And even today they terrorize blacks and Jews, sometimes in a very violent way. During the first half of the 1900s, many blacks left the South and moved to the industrial cities in the North. They wanted to get away from racial problems. That meant, for instance, that blacks had to sit in certain areas in a theater or at a bus terminal. Work in the cotton fields became work in the textile mills, and they often lived in slum areas. But some became successful. Through studies and hard work, many improved their lives. 50% of the 30 million blacks in the U.S. still live in the South. Barbara lives outside Little Rock, Arkansas, a state in the South. Riceland is the big company. Many people do get jobs there, but it's still not enough. There's considerable unemployment and poverty, especially among blacks. Patricia, Barbara's mother, is lucky to have a job. It's important since she supports Barbara, Barbara's younger brother, and little Rodney Jr. They rent a small house, and this is the bedroom that Barbara shares with her brother. Now there has to be room for RJ too. But how about Barbara's father?
He just now came back from Texas. He's not doing well, you know, he's on drugs and everything. But he comes by and see me sometime. But he just got back not too long ago. And
What do you feel about that?
I don't like it at all.
Have you ever met him before, or
Mhm.
he lived together with you and your mother?
No, he never lived with us. He just used to come and see me all the time.
And what about little RJ's father?
We just started getting along better. We wasn't really getting along good
Why not?
because of other girls.
He has a lot of other girls?
No, well, it was another girl that he had, but I didn't. He was telling me that he didn't want the other girl, but you know, he was lying to me, telling me that, and telling her that he didn't want me, and that just caused a lot of problems.
This is Rodney, RJ's father. It's a bad picture, but it was the only one to be found. He's 20, but he already has another child. What is he doing now?
I don't know. I don't know what he could be doing.
But he has left town.
Mhm.
So what do you think he's doing?
I don't know.
Trying to find a job?
Yeah, probably.
What job could he get? Does he have any education that he, could he have a
No,
special?
he don't have any education. He quit school.
Come around and get in. Nah, y'all go ahead, man. Y'all kick me. Let me spin go so I wait with you. Huh?
The young people in the neighborhood meet in this park.
You got it, baby.
They have a lot of free time since unemployment among young black people is very high. And because of this, many young blacks get into drugs and crime. There are many people, both young and old, who just drift from place to place. Most of them are men, and they survive thanks to the soup kitchens that different organizations arrange. A lot of the social work in the U.S. is done by volunteers, and the money needed comes from private individuals. A church pays for this soup kitchen, and the volunteers work during their own lunch breaks. But help can be given in many ways. These elegant ladies are on their way to a bachelor auction. A dinner with an attractive bachelor, an unmarried man, is what's sold. The money goes to an organization called Big Brothers, which helps young boys without fathers. How does it work?
And it matches one big brother with one little brother. And it is a very wonderful program. It does a lot of good work. The philosophy of the program is to help a boy become a man. And it is run by great volunteers and people who are very dedicated to the process.
What kind of a man do you want to find here tonight?
Good question. Strong, sensitive, gorgeous, wealthy, loves to have a great time.
How much money have you brought to buy such a man?
I brought my checkbook.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
So it doesn't matter how much it cost?
No, absolutely not. I'm here to have a good time.
You have no idea how fun this is going to be.
We have got some incredible dates for you tonight. She's on a dime. And now that was it. Last call, here we go. And now that was a doctor. She went down to Carol. What's her name, Carol? Carol. Carol. We'd like you to meet your bachelor. Here she comes, you lucky guy. Meet your bachelor at the first one of the night.
Jocelyn Elders hurries through the corridors. She's very busy. She's the head of the health department in Little Rock, and she is part of the black middle class.
Would you see if you can get, would you get Judge Beline's number?
She comes from a very poor family with 7 brothers and sisters, but her family helped her to get a chance to study.
It was a real struggle, and I think that my sisters and brothers were really very helpful when I was getting ready to go to college to get my bus fare to go to college. You know, we're talking about very little money. Well, my sisters and brothers picked cotton to help to get my bus fare, and I remember my young brother was only 7 years old at the time, and he was picking to help, and we was going into the weigh-in scale to see if we had enough. And I remember so clearly him looking up at me to say, "Do we have enough yet?" You know, not in the way that I'm going to quit, but in a way that, you know, he wanted to make sure we had enough before we quit.
There are a lot of...
In her job, Jocelyn feels that it's an advantage to come from a poor family, to be a woman, and to be black. She feels that the road to a healthy life is started during childhood.
We spend $660 billion, or 12% of our gross national product, on health care, and yet when you look at our measures of good health, like infant mortality, teen pregnancy, care of the elderly, we find that we lag behind many, many other countries. So even though we spend lots of money, we do not have good health care or good health. And I think part of that is because we've not focused on prevention. We spend 90% of our health care dollars in the last month of life and only 0.8% on prevention. We're really working very hard to do is improve the primary preventive health care and to make family planning and contraceptives available for all of our children such that they can be responsible. And we're doing that through our school-based health services.
How long my sickness gonna go on?
This is one of the few school clinics. Many religious groups don't like them because they assume that the clinics encourage young people's sexual life by informing them about contraceptives and by handing them out. Here, you're able to leave pregnancy tests and discuss abortion with a counselor.
These in here so that they'll be sterile. Let them stay in here for about a second. Okay, and we put these in here because the bottles have to be sterile because the baby is so small. As you get older, you probably...
But if there's no school clinic, there's always Mom.
He's gonna start drinking a lot more milk.
You never thought about abortion?
No. Because I don't feel that abortion is the answer. You know, you have a lot of kids that want to have an abortion, but I don't think, I don't believe in abortions. I do not. Because I just don't believe in taking a child's life. And I feel like if a child does have an abortion, that's anybody. They're only gonna turn around and do it again. So why, you know, mess with their body like that?
The civil rights movement, then the blacks were really fighting. How is the fight done today? Is it through education, through the way that you are trying to change?
If we're going to live in America, the only way we're going to survive is be competitive Americans. We just aren't going to survive any other way. And the only way that we can be competitive Americans is we've got to have an education.
So that's the main struggle today.
That's the main struggle today. That's the battle we've got to win.
It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed.
Martin Luther King was one of the leaders of the civil rights movement in the 1950s and 60s. One important issue was if blacks were going to be able to go to the same schools as whites. A law was passed that said they could, and 9 brave black children came to Central High School in Little Rock in 1957. One of them was 15-year-old Elizabeth Eckford.
Before I left home, Mother called us into the living room. She said we should have a word of prayer. Then I caught the bus and got off a block before the school. I saw a large crowd of people standing across the street from the Soldiers' Garden Central. As I walked on, the crowd suddenly got very quiet. For a moment, all I could hear was shuffling of their feet. Then someone shouted, "Here she comes, get ready." The crowd moved in closer and then began to follow me, calling me names. Then my knees started to shake. All of a sudden, I wondered whether I could make it into the center entrance a block away. It was the longest block I ever walked in my whole life.
The governor of Arkansas had armed guards around the school so black students couldn't get in.
They moved closer and closer. Somebody started yelling, "Lynch her, lynch her." Someone hollered, "Drag her over here to the street. Let's take care of the nigger." Just then, a white man sat down beside me, put his arms around me and patted me on my shoulder. He raised my chin and said, "Don't let them see you cry."
Elizabeth and the others didn't get in that day, but President Eisenhower sent soldiers to Little Rock to make sure they could go to the school.
When you think about your being black, what do you think about that?
I like it. But then again, when I look at the racial movies on TV, you know how, white people treated black people back then in the 40s and the early 1900s, I really wouldn't want to be black. But now I'm proud of my color though. I'm glad.
Do you have any white friends?
I have 2 of them that's really nice to me.
They go in the same class as you do?
Do the same work and everything.
They usually come here to your home?
No, they don't never come to my home. I have never been to theirs, but we said that we was, but we just didn't never go.
Why?
Well, I've kind of felt that my friends' parents would feel kind of funny.
It's early in the morning, and Barbara is going back to school. Grandma, RJ's father's mother, has promised to take care of RJ during the day. It will be tough for Barbara, because in the afternoons, she will have to work in a restaurant to make some extra money. She won't meet RJ until 9 o'clock at night, and then she also has her homework.
Good morning, Barbara.
How you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
Here's his milk and his pampers and everything.
All right, good. Have you fed him?
Yes. I'll be back to get him
Okay.
around about 4 o'clock, okay?
All righty.
Bye-bye.
Have a nice day.
Okay.
Oh. Rate that man. Come on, rate that man. Rate that man. Come on, man. Come on, rate that man.
What are you going to do with this little creature the whole day?
Love him. Giving him food, keeping him dry, giving him a big hug and kiss every now and then. Just loving him.
What do you think about his future?
Oh, hope he grow up to be. Oh, he looks like he's gonna be a doctor. I think I'm gonna have a doctor here.
The first day in school is exciting. Everybody asks about RJ, and it feels good to be back among friends again. Barbara's dream is to become an air hostess, to be able to travel, and hopefully her dream will come true. In the corridor outside the classroom, there is something that is rather common at large American schools: security guards that patrol the corridors to keep order. The problems are many, but out in the schoolyard, the atmosphere is more relaxed and playful.